for Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. We start today in Mexico, where the search for 43 missing students continues, along with mounting anger against authorities. Violent protests ended in a torching of the regional government headquarters Tuesday. Protesters are angry over what they say is a lack of action from authorities. Meanwhile, DNA tests from mass graves in Guerrero have indicated that the bodies discovered there are not those of the missing students. Our correspondent in Mexico, Clayton Kahn, continues to follow the latest developments out of Guerrero. Clayton.
According to Mexico's Attorney General, Jesus Murillo Caram, at least 28 of the 43 burned and mutilated bodies in the more than 5 mass graves in the community of Iguala, Guerrero, are not those of the 43 missing Ayotzinapa students. For family, classmates, and the thousands demanding justice in the case, the news provides a degree of relief and hope that the missing may still be found and returned alive. Yet, an independent verification by an Argentine forensics team still needs to confirm the news. Thus, a major question emerges. If the revelations turn out to be true, then who are the people found in those graves? There is speculation that several more graves are in the area and yet to be uncovered. It has been 2.5 weeks since municipal police attacked a group of students in Iguala, killing 6, injuring more than 25, and disappearing those 43.
And thanks to Clayton. And now we go to the Syrian town of Kobani, where the Islamic State group appears to have stalled in its bid to control the region. This comes largely thanks to a fierce Kurdish resistance effort. Then the UN has warned that those in Kobani could be massacred if the onslaught is not stopped. While the United States carried out 21 airstrikes in the area over the past couple of days, many question whether the efforts have had much effect. U.S. President Barack Obama says that U.S. forces will continue strikes in both Iraq and Syria.
Obviously, at this point, we're also focused on the fighting that is taking place in Iraq's Anbar province. And we're deeply concerned about the situation in and around the Syrian town of Kobani, which underscores the threat that ISIL poses in both Iraq and Syria. And coalition airstrikes will continue in both these areas.
Brazilians gathered to watch the first of 4 televised debates Tuesday between the 2 candidates vying for the presidency of Latin America's largest nation. Incumbent Dilma Rousseff squared off against challenger Aécio Neves in an exchange that focused mostly on economic policy. Rousseff defended the role of Brazil's public bank in providing preferential credits to citizens and industry. Her conservative challenger accused her of corruption, which she vehemently denied. Self is coming under scrutiny for corruption. The right-wing businessman has been tied to a drug scandal in which a helicopter belonging to his company was found to be carrying 4.5 tons of cocaine. Neves' agricultural firm is also being investigated for illegal allocation of contracts that includes the use of public funds to purchase the airport where that helicopter landed. And to the Middle East now we go, where Tuesday UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon visited the devastated Gaza Strip for what he saw there as Palestinians struggle to rebuild. Here's our correspondent, Noor Harazin.
Here today in the Gaza Strip, for the first time in months, the Israeli side allowed building materials trucks to enter the Gaza Strip. So 10 trucks of steel, 15 trucks of cement, and also 50 trucks of gravel entered the Gaza Strip today to be used for private sectors. The residents of the Gaza Strip will not be able to use the locals will not be able to use these building materials because the Israeli side only agreed to let these materials in for private sectors.
Moving on, Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy says that the Spanish government can open what he called a new chapter of dialogue with Catalonia now after the region's independence vote was canceled. Catalonia's president Artur Mas says a consolation vote instead of a definitive referendum will be held. Rajoy has threatened to block those plans as well. Even some opposed to full independence for Catalonia have denounced the Spanish government's refusal to let Catalonians vote. And to Ukraine we go, where as a result of the 6-month-long civil war there, the country has seen a growing offshoot of the ultra-right wing. Protests by the extremists outside government buildings became violent Tuesday. Meanwhile, newly installed Defense Minister Stefan Poltorak has promised to build an army capable of taking on that of Russia. Ukraine's pro-Europe regime hopes to receive arms from NATO member countries to fortify their armed forces. And to the United States, where the Supreme Court there has ruled that abortion clinics in Texas will remain open. It comes after a new state law threatened their closure. In Texas, state officials have imposed harsh regulations on abortion providers. Women's rights groups say that conservatives in the state are trying to shut clinics down for good. The Supreme Court's order means that some 12 services can reopen until a final decision on the matter is reached. Mozambicans take to the polls today to decide whether the Frelimo party gets another term. The party has ruled since the country became independent in 1975. Voters may be expressing fatigue, though, as the country has seen strong turnouts to rallies by opposition parties. The elections mark 20 years of democracy since the end of the country's 15-year civil war. Diplomats from the U.S., Europe, and Iran are meeting Wednesday in Vienna to find a solution to a standoff over Iran's uranium enrichment program. Iran has always stated that the project is peaceful, while other nuclear powers accuse Tehran of seeking to develop nuclear weapons. The West says that it will lift sanctions on the country if it curbs its activity before the target date of November 24th. Finally, this midday, in a rare display of U.S.-Cuba cooperation, 2 U.S. authors were in Havana at a joint book launch with Cuban writers to shed light on the complicated dynamic between the countries. The U.S. book Back Channel to Cuba, based largely on declassified documents, reveals that former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger ordered contingency plans for a military strike in order to smash Castro, as he called it. Meanwhile, the book, The Policy of the United States Towards Cuba, uses previously unrelated Cuban documents to explain the relationship between the two nations. Plenty more on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. We'll see you right back here in just a few hours.